Hello everyone, we're going to do another deck tech talk. This time, we're going to go with a mono white deck that seems to be super hot right now. White's kind of one of those colors you either love or you hate. There's a lot of good qualities to white. There's also some drawbacks. Every color has its drawbacks. It's what it's weaker at. What I love about white is the comboing of lifelink and the triggers that you can bounce back and forth off of your Daxos and your Heliod for sure. So every time you have a creature into the battlefield, you gain life, which triggers Heliod, whether he's actually on the battlefield or he's just an enchantment, just hiding out, just chilling like a villain. But yeah, so basically, I'm a big fan of this Transcendent Envoy. I think it's one of those sleeper cards. It reduces the cost of our aura spells. Anytime you can reduce the cost of spells, it's such a good idea, especially in a deck that has 0 ramp. We have no mana dorks whatsoever. That's something that white's not very good at. And, we'd have to add green in to get some ramp, go with some cultivates. That's kind of my go-to card for ramping. I love that it gets an additional land on the battlefield and puts one into your hand as well, but we have a deck that is mostly low cost. So if you look here, we've got a lot of 1-drops and a lot of 2-drops. Not a lot of 3-drops, and we've got 1 4-drop. That's it. This is the deck. 60-card deck, completely legal and standard. So you can see here for land, we've got a Castle Ardenvale. This is great when you don't have anything you can play from hand and you've got enough mana to spend, because you can bring in a human, 1/1 token, and you can trigger Daxos. And once you trigger Daxos and gain life, if you've got Heliod out, you trigger Heliod. Now, getting back to this card here, the reason why I think it's underrated, other than the obvious, is when you combine it with certain little synergistic strategies. So for instance, the Heliod's Pilgrim is great for this. The ideal turn is turn 1, Seed of Life's Bounty for sure. Turn 2, you're going to get your Transcendent Envoy out there, or say a Birth of Meletis, but hopefully this guy. Turn 3, you're hoping to drop this. And if you don't have a Heliod's Pilgrim and you've played this and you've got some other aura enchantments in hand, you can play those for 1. You see these? Any one of these enchantments that I have here, you can play for 1 white mana. So Heliod's Punishment, another one of those. I'm going to say it's a sleeper card. I don't know. I exist in my own little bubble, but I don't see this card played a ton. I think it's super highly underrated because if you come up against, say, a Skewed Swarm deck, you can buy yourself some time to get your engine going. So you cast this for 1, ideally, on a Skewed Swarm, and it will not be able to replicate with landfall or anything else that has landfall. Anything with flying, anything with lifelink, death touch, any ability, basically, that creature's going to lose it. So if a player plays something that is core, that's integral to his engine, so say we came up against another white deck that had a Daxos, I would definitely slap it down on that Daxos, and he'd lose all his abilities, and actually would kill him, because his toughness is based on your devotion to white. So play a Heliod's Punishment on any creature that's toughness is reliant upon, say, the number of lands, okay? Anything like that, it's going to die instantly. So Heliod's Punishment is probably a lot better than people give it credit for. Got some All That Glitters in there because we have a lot of enchantments. So we've got some enchantment creatures that are pretty essential to this deck. This is another one of those sleeper cards. Some people love it, some people don't care for it. I've always loved this card. I've always built enchantment decks with this card in mind. I think that this card is very overpowered. I think it's perfect for a Tron deck. You slap this down on something and instantly it's going to get at the minimum +2/+2, especially if we're talking about an Seed of Life's Bounty. It counts as an enchantment because it's an enchantment creature. So we get +1 for that. We get +1 for the enchantment itself, so that's +2. And if we have this guy out, we play it for 1, guess what? He's an enchantment creature as well. So if you've got both of those guys out, you're going to get +3 right off the bat for 1 mana. +3/+3 on something that has lifelink or something that has flying, or maybe your Daxos, and you're going to be, you're going to be feeling pretty confident. All right, so we're going to play a game. Start off with 1 game here. I don't want to go over my 10-minute goal for these videos. Yes, the deck is called Whiteness. I understand that might be troubling to some of you more sensitive folk out there, and if you look at things through that lens and I think that you need some help, please seek it. I advise anybody that has inadequacies to seek help, so don't think that I'm insulting you. I don't see that as an insult. I need help myself. Okay, so this is a confusing opening hand because we have nothing to play immediately, and for, you know, sort of a white aggro deck, I mean, I can make this work. I can definitely make this work. Well, let's just play it. Let's just do it and see what happens. Opponent plays a forest. Opponent only has one eyeball, and it's rather large. Okay, so more land, that's always good. But, unfortunately, I would have preferred an Seed of Life's Bounty. Mind you, there's only 4 of those in this deck. There's not a lot of creatures in this deck. I would say that it's pretty balanced between creatures and enchantments. Okay, so we're playing a counter deck, which is... So, you know, right away we could throw a Heliod's Punishment. We could throw a Pacifism on him. The more economical way to go is get the engine turning a little bit here. And hopefully he doesn't have any flying creature removal. Green is really weak with flying. In fact, they have no flying creatures that I'm aware of. They do have creature removal spells specifically for flyers. Okay, so here's where things start to get a little bit more fun for us. Okay. Yes, we can play Healy's Pilgrim, but we have a bunch of enchantments here that we're going to want to use. So, first of all... So, he gets +1/+1 counters. He doesn't trigger anyone else, really, except maybe this guy here. We're going to see... Yeah, see how he jumped up like that? Because we've got an enchantment here, right? So, So we just basically took both of his creatures out of the equation. The Wildwood Scourge will not be able to gain any counters. So if he plays a creature, which is right now, he's going to trigger Yorvo, but he's not going to trigger the Wildwood. So it buys us a little bit of time to get something set up. And we can play Mangara. Or we can tutor and leave one open for Defiant Strike. On our Heliod's Pilgrim, maybe? It only gets +1. That wouldn't be enough. Let's play him and get some card draw in the mix here. Plus, he makes for a good blocker and he has lifelink. But I threw these Defiant Strikes in here because they're only 1 mana. You get to draw a card. And the +1/+0 is a nice little bonus, I guess. But we've spent all our mana, unfortunately. That wouldn't have helped. Yeah, no blocks. I'm going to take 4 to the face. Okay, so... See, but for 1 mana, you can draw a card. I mean, it's not too bad. We might as well play it on a Transcendent Envoy and get ourselves another point of damage in with him. We're going to play this, though. We're going to tutor out another Aura card. Well, we could take a Sentinel's Eyes and... Let's do that. Let's do Sentinel's Eyes. You know why? Because he makes for a great blocker. This is going to shut him down unless he can answer our Transcendent Envoy. So now... It doesn't matter if we attack with Mangara and he's got life links. We're going to gain a little bit of life back. Let's see what he does here. I think he might block Mangara. He's getting a little low on life. Yeah, he's going to go for the block. I get a little bit of life gain out of it, which is nice. And he's got to answer my Transcendent Envoy or he's in trouble. He or she. It's Jiff. It could be a Wormkin. And there's the concede. Stay tuned for part 2.